What's up, everybody? This is Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful, a show that highlights people and stories that will inspire you to get your money right. And today on the show, I have Mykail from BougieBudgets.com. What's up, Mykail?
Hi, how are you, Yaneli? I am super
Good.
excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, same girl. So actually, for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, I actually met Mykail recently through the HellaHelpful workshop series that Hey Berna planned. If you guys don't know about it, y'all need to pause this right now and go look up HellaHelpful.com. Berna, who is a financial hype woman, she has a very, very, very fun brand about teaching people about personal finance, and she put together a series of workshops that were all free, focused on people of color, low income, first generation backgrounds, and it was a phenomenal experience. Like, we had so many people sign up, and I did a workshop on savings. We were all in a Slack chat together trying to prep it and plan it, and that's how I met Mykail. So I was like, oh, we got to have you on the show, girl. I love what you're doing, and so glad to have you today.
Yeah, HellaHelpful was such a great experience, and I'm excited to see, what comes out of it. Berna is so dope. I actually met her at FinCon, so we kind of, go way back a little bit.
That's so fun. Yeah, actually, so I had known Berna from Instagram. We were just like chatting, and then she found my YouTube channel, and she had a YouTube channel as well, but then she took more towards Instagram. And then I was at FinCon too. I didn't know you were at FinCon. She and I met in person because she was doing like a dancing series. You remember, she was finding people and dancing with them. So she hit me up on the app and was like, girl, I gotta find you at some point so we could do our little dance. And we ended up going outside and doing the twerking by the pool. But it was such a fun time. Yes.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Mykail and with her brand, Boujie Budgets, Mykail, just give them a little introduction into who you are and what your brand is all about.
Yeah, so I am Mykail, and I am known as the Boujie Budgeter on Instagram and all on the interwebs. Boujie Budgets just kind of came out of a need for me because I'm like trying to understand finances. I had just graduated college, not too long ago, and I was like, okay, like I want to get my money together. And like, how do I do it? And I just was not feeling a lot of the financial help out here. I was not feeling like the idea of not starvation, but deprivation, and people saying like, you can't travel or you can't do these things when you're trying to become debt free or become financially free. And I was like, well, what's the point of financial freedom if I can't do anything? So I decided that I wanted to create a platform and a voice to empower and engage people in a different way, but still making money fun. So that is just kind of how Boujie Budgets came about. Like, I was like, I'm bougie. I like to travel. I like to have fun. I like to be social. And I'm also responsible with my money because you can do both.
I love that. I love that because you're right. There is this general like reputation in the personal finance / like debt-free financial freedom community and culture that is very much like frugal. And then there's the opposite. Like, people are like, no, anti-frugal. I'm not, that's being cheap. I'm not cheap. And there's always this sort of like, dichotomy between those two. So I like that you said like your platform was actually going to bridge them and say, you don't have to be one or the other. You can have both. You can be responsible with your money and not, be labeled whatever, labels people want to pick for you if you're being strategic about spending your money. Like, that doesn't have to be labeled a certain way. So I love that. In a second, I'm gonna come back to this topic of why you chose to name the platform Boujie Budgets and Boujie Budgeter to refer to yourself. Because I know I read a blog post that you put up about how your family used the term bougie to refer to you as the bougie one. So we're gonna come back to that. But first, I want to just start with a quick fun question, which is, what was the most expensive purchase that you've made to this day that you remember making and you actually really regret it?
Let's say more so, the most money I regret spending is like my $5,000 bonus check from when I first got started in corporate. Like, honestly, Yaneli, all I know is that I bought a necklace, some AirPods, and a Kate Spade purse. And I don't know how your addition works. Yeah. Three things. I don't think that those
Oh my
three things added
goodness.
up to $5,000, but $5,000 was gone from
Oh
that
my
bonus
goodness.
check. I think that was really the time where I was like, oh, I have a problem and I need to solve
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So literally after
That
that's when I
mm,
started tracking my expenses and all of that kind of stuff, because I was like, where did this money go?
yeah. I feel like that usually that's what happens to people is they have to have a really bad experience to the point where they lost so much money that they realize they don't have money management skills. And like you either want them real bad after that, or you just decide you're the type of person who's gonna be a mess financially and you're always gonna be scrambling. Like, cause I think that's the moment, right? That's the make or break moment. You realize the $5,000 were gone, just gone, poof, up and disappeared. You bought a couple things, but like, come on, that was not $5,000 worth of stuff. Where did the money go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, where did it go? And, the world still will never know, but it's okay. I'm moving forward. I have forgiven myself for those past mistakes.
A true Mykail mystery up in here. Oh my God. Okay. So, what about on the flip side of that? What was an expensive purchase that you made that was very costly, but you actually don't regret it? You're actually very glad that you made that purchase because it was worth it for you.
It is going to be the one thing that people like to go back and forth with,
Yeah.
and it is college. Like,
Mm.
honestly, I'm okay with saying that I'm $75,000 in student loan
Student loan
debt,
debt.
but I don't regret going to college. I would say, like, I more so regret how I paid for college.
Mm.
And that is because I was 17. I was a child. Like, I didn't care about taking the time to study or taking the time to apply to scholarships and things like that. And,
Yeah.
I was also in that mindset of, I didn't think that people would give me scholarship money in the first place. So
Yeah.
it's a lot to expect a 17-year-old to know. And both of my parents, they went to college, but they didn't finish college.
Mhm.
And they came from low income backgrounds, and they worked to build up to what to be able to afford to even give me the opportunity to go to college. And
Yeah.
to me, it's like, how dare I not try my hardest and appreciate the gift of knowledge and the degree that my parents like sacrificed to help
Right.
me to get.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely relate to that because when I was little, I used to be like real nerdy in school. Like I would cry if I didn't get a 90 on my test and everything. I was that weird nerdy kid, right? And I think the reason why I was like that is because my parents, they never let me forget that they didn't get a chance to go to school. When they were in Dominican Republic, they grew up in DR. When they were little, they went to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and then that was it. They had to get pulled out of school because they had to work on the farm. They had to like feed animals. They had to, get the coffee beans, do all these things because that's how my grandparents were able to make money was through selling coffee, selling plantains, like, getting milk from the cows, like feeding the pigs. Like those are the types of things every day. They needed help on the farm to be able to make money from the land. So my parents pretty much it was just child labor like all through their childhood. They didn't really experience a regular childhood, and I felt bad about that. So when I was in school, I didn't take it light. Like I was like, oh, this is what they wish they had. And I have to take it seriously and I have to appreciate that I have this opportunity that they didn't have. And it sounds like that was a little bit of what you had going on too, where you were like, I got to
Yeah.
college and yes, it's a expensive thing and it's gonna take a lot of sacrifices, but I have this opportunity to finish and get this degree, which is something that I know my parents didn't get to do that would
Yeah.
really, really change, change the opportunities that would be available to you compared to your previous generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And even further, like my grandmother, she grew up in Montgomery, Alabama during civil rights times, and she was down there when the Montgomery bus boycott was happening, and
Wow.
she had to leave school because she had children, and again, like, she
Mm.
had mouths to feed and things like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So college and education has always been super important to me.
Yeah.
And just even the place that I went, like going to the specific university, going to an HBCU was so important to me.
Yeah.
It taught me so much about just my culture, about people that came before me.
Yeah.
And, like my best friends are there. Like
Yeah.
that's where I grew up. Really, that's where I became an adult.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that, to the notion of college isn't worth it and things like that, because for a lot of us that is our way out. That is our
Yeah.
way to seeing different things and being in front of other people with different professions. That's where you see people that look like you doing
Yep.
things that you want to do in the future.
That's right.
And I don't regret one bit of it. I'm gonna try to figure out how to pay the $75,000 back, but
That's
at the end
awesome.
of the day, like, that's the money I already spent. I can't cry over it now.
That's true. That's so true. I really love that you said that, because I think a lot of people, they keep beating themselves up about past mistakes or past spending, whether they consider it a mistake or not. And at the end of the day, once you realize where you are, you just have to accept that. Like, just accept it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't constantly go back over, what if I had not done that? What if I had done this or done that? Like, you didn't. So it doesn't really matter. Like, focus your mental energy on taking the next step, because the only thing you can change is the future. You cannot change the past. The past is the past. It passed. You can't change
Exactly.
it. So I love that you said that. It's like,
Exactly.
it already happened. Now I just got to focus on what's next.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
one thing that I definitely practice is gratitude for my present, for my
Yes.
past, and for my future. Like every
I
morning
love
I
that.
wake up and I'm like, I'm grateful for the money that I have presently in my
Mm.
account. I'm
Hmm.
grateful for the money that I will have in the future.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for the money that I had, that I've spent, and that has created the opportunities to be in the present.
I love that. I do like loosey goosey type meditative practice, and I don't write. I used to write a lot and then I kind of stopped. And every year I do a pseudo New Year's goal to like write more. But I have to start a gratitude journal, because everybody that I talk to that tells me that they do gratitude practice, whether it's just thinking and saying out loud what they're grateful for in the morning, or whether it's writing it down every day, it really changes your mindset. It makes you think differently and more positively, because you can't help
Yeah.
it. You can't help it but think positive thoughts when you're constantly feeling grateful and gratitude all the time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, and honestly, so I've been reading The Power of Habit, like quick tangent, but
Yes,
he
love
he
James
said,
Clear. Oh no, that's not the
yes,
Power of Habit. That's Atomic Habits. The Power of Habit is
oh,
Duhigg.
that's Duhigg. Okay, so
Yeah,
I've read both. Right now, I'm reading Atomic Habits,
so good.
and just him saying like start with 2 minutes a day. So
Mm,
instead of like at first, I was like, oh, I need to be meditating for like 10, 20 minutes in the morning and things like that. Like I'm just starting with the 2 minutes a day and
yes.
just
Yes.
really go like building up the habit of
Hmm.
sitting and meditating and sitting with
Yes.
myself and feeling present.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, it feels good. It makes my day start off great. So that is like
I
I
love
practice
that.
gratitude in the morning. Every morning I practice
I
gratitude.
love that a lot. The bite-sized start to it, it makes it possible. Like when you think about, oh, I can't meditate for 20 minutes every day. I can't, well, of course not, because you're starting with such a big, huge goal. Like start with just 2 minutes, start with 1 minute every day, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 4 minutes. And you could do the same thing with money. Like you could do the same thing with budgeting. Like, okay, I can't budget everything right now.
Literally.
It's too scary. Oh my God. Okay, start with just every day for 2 minutes, go through your spending. Did you know you spent that much? So
Hmm.
what's surprising? What's confusing? What's wrong? What's right? Next day, 3 minutes, scroll through, look at your purchases. Eventually it becomes a practice that you do, and then you can actually create a budget from your actual finances. But you could start small. You don't have to always jump straight to the biggest accomplishment first. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your background. You mentioned a little bit about your parents attending college but not being able to graduate, and your grandma's story growing up in Alabama and having to stop because she had children. And so I want to know a little bit more about your upbringing. How did all of the early experiences in your childhood around either conversations around money or being aware of the money situation that your family was in, just from what you saw or what you heard, how did all of those early money lessons or early money memories that you have impact the way that you are now?
Yeah. So I am the youngest of six,
Mhm.
and
You're the baby.
I am the baby, and everybody knows that by the time the baby rolls around, that's when mama and daddy either has way much more money than they did in the beginning, or they, are still in the same place, or maybe less. And I came around when my parents had way, way more money. My parents got married. They got married in their like late 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had already had children. So my dad had 2 girls. Literally, we're like the Brady Bunch. Like, my dad had 2 girls. My mom had 2 boys, and then then they got married and had me and my sister. So it's 6 of us.
Okay.
And before my parents got married, they were both like they were doing very okay for themselves. My mom was on welfare at first. My dad also is no stranger to welfare.
Yeah.
And when they got married, my mom works like as a secretary. My dad had 2 full-time jobs my entire life. Like, he legit just retired in February.
Wow.
So all of my life, he's always had 2 full-time jobs. He worked for the water company and the postal service. So he worked at night. And, what was really special about my dad is that even though he had 2 full-time jobs and worked, he is the epitome of a family man. And our family is like, we're really close knit. We are the family that plays games together and things like that. And my mom was the money person. So that was like the first kind of difference where I noticed a difference where most people, like, their dad takes care of the money and whatever. But
that's right.
But my mama, that she was the one who she held the purse. If you wanted some money, you go to my mom.
Yes.
And because when she did go to college for her first year, she studied accounting. And, that's another similarity of, like, when I went to school, I studied accounting. I've been studying accounting for the last 10 years, even though I'm very young, even though I'm 24, I've been studying accounting since I was in high school. So like, I knew how to do balance sheets like the back of my hand before I stepped foot on a college campus. I knew how to, balance sheets, income statements, all of that. And my mom taught me a lot about money, and they worked with what they had. So they weren't like huge investors, but I knew about mutual funds. She used secure loans to improve me and my sister's credit. So by the time I went to college, I had like a 750 credit score, which I kind of messed up myself.
Right. But at least your mom set you up for success.
Yeah, she definitely set us up. And, I mostly grew up in a middle-class home. Like, by the time I grew up, that's when they had already bought their house and they had the things set in place. And I was reaping the benefits of their hard work from the last 30 years. Because they kind of started with nothing. My dad has 5 brothers and sisters. My mom grew up from a single mom. So they did everything that they could to, give us a break, give us as much as they did not have, and create a family structure that we can definitely depend on. And even to this day now, like, my money decisions, a lot of my budgeting tips and stuff, y'all need to shout out to Mama Boujie, because a lot of it comes from her and how she thinks of money, and she really passed that on to us. And I'm literally the only one that does accounting, and I'm the only one that really enjoys money out of my mom's 6 kids. But I'm super grateful, and I think that's what makes my story a little bit more unique too, because, it is one thing from coming from a low income, but even studies show that people that come from middle-class homes, they aren't equipped, or they usually stay in a middle class. They don't accumulate more wealth. They don't really become more wealthy than their parents.
Yeah, or worse, they go backwards and they become low income. Yeah, it's very hard. That's right.
It's very interesting. And then when I went to college, again, like, being preyed upon, we ended up doing a Parent Plus loan. So because that's the only way my parents really know how to pay. They knew, as much as they could, and I'm kind of the one that is going to have to, make enough for my entire family because, I'm the youngest of 6 and I make the most money.
Yeah. Wow, it's a lot of pressure.
My oldest, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and I think that some people don't get that either. Like, just because I came from a middle class, my parents had 6 children. And they told us that they could afford to pay, a $30,000 tuition every year with six children.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
So
on paper they might seem like middle class, right? On paper, technically they're middle class, but after you divvy up what they were doing across 6 kids,
right?
It's like, all right, y'all, on paper is one
Exactly.
thing, but in reality, your lived experience is not always just going to be so fancy because you have to maintain all 6 of the kids plus the mom and dad. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's where we came from, and I'd like to say that I am continuing this legacy and providing for my family just as much as my parents provided for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. One of the things that you mentioned just now that is interesting is that you said that your mom set you up by doing secured loans to get you a really great credit score. So when you got to college, you're like, hey, okay, you're at that 750, which is, that's coveted for somebody who's 18, 19 to have already coming in a really great credit score. But then you messed it up somehow. I don't know what you did. So talk to us about how you went from a teen whose parents set her up for success with their credit score, went to college, ends up with a career, and ends up somehow through that transition from teen to college to career, messing up your credit score.
So I didn't know that I had a 750 credit score at first.
Wow.
Let's start there. I did not realize I had such a high credit score until I started working at Victoria's Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And the Angel card is where all good things go to die.
Oh my Lord. Did you open the Victoria's Secret card when you were working there?
Girl, I was spending it, okay?
Oh boy.
Spending it. Victoria's Secret knew me. Like, I spent so much money. Like, they were like, wow, Miss James, you went from a regular Angel card holder to a platinum Angel card holder in a month. And I was like, exactly.
That's not an accomplishment. That's bad. Oh my God.
Girl, I was spending it. But at that time too, I had 3 jobs that summer. So I was working at Victoria's Secret, I was working at Ann Taylor, and I had a government internship. So like, I was like, I'm rich,
hustling, girl.
And I'm below it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because I also had to make enough money during the summer, because that's another thing. My parents didn't allow me to work during school because, again, like, I am their investment. So they said, we are giving you everything that you need to go to college.
Right.
So you focus on school. You don't need to get a job. You don't need to do any of those extra things. You just need to kill it.
That's right.
In school. So I didn't work. I didn't get my first job until I was like 18 during the summer. So I would work 2 and 3 jobs every summer to make enough money to last me through the school year. And I did that every summer from my freshman year. Yeah. From my freshman year all through grad school. That's how I navigated. I would make as much money as I could and then stretch it out for the next 6 months. So that, I think that's another way that the budgeting just came out of me. And so when I was working at Victoria's Secret, I was like, okay, well, let me just get a little Angel card. I let everybody influence me. I'm like, okay,
girl, but how? You were spending most of it at Victoria's Secret.
Girl, they gave me a $1,000 limit.
Yeah.
Why would you give a 20-year-old $1,000 limit?
Oh boy.
at Victoria's Secret? And of course I get all the extra discounts and stuff like that. So I'm just like shopping it up.
You work
and
there.
Even to this day, listen, to this day, I still got every single piece of those because I'm not letting that investment go. At this point, y'all an investment.
Right. That is too funny.
So yeah, I'm a really big gift giver. So I love Christmas, and that's something that I'm never going to give up. I like to give gifts. I like to give thoughtful gifts, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was the one Christmas I was like, okay, well, I don't really have money right now, but if y'all want something from Victoria's Secret, I'll get you something from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
So I got all of my friends and my mom and my friends and family like gifts from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
And then I got fired from my internship over the winter break.
Uh-oh.
And I did not have enough money to pay for my Victoria's Secret bill. And I didn't spend them. I probably spent like $300
Right.
or whatever
Right.
for all of my friends and family. Girl, I ended up paying Victoria's Secret $600 because I just stopped paying the credit card because I didn't have any money. And
But you weren't even
then
did you send at least the minimum payment, or you just
I didn't even
nothing?
I acted like I didn't know Victoria's Secret. Okay.
Oh,
Those
mama.
bill collectors was calling my phone. I was like, "Who, girl, I don't know who you gonna talk to, but it is not me."
Wow, girl, you were
And
running from them.
I was trying to run. They caught me. Okay.
Ouch.
And I paid them their $600.
The
But
collection?
my credit,
How did it end?
no, it didn't go to collections. Like they were threatening for it to go to collections, and I got scared. So then I was like, okay, well, let me figure out how to pay $600. But I had to do it without telling my mom because I was like, I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell my mom or my dad that I got $600 worth of credit card debt because
They would kill me.
yeah.
I
Like,
wouldn't
my
be
mama
alive
already
to tell the
told me.
story.
My mama already told me not to get a credit card. So I was like, okay.
Man.
I just had to figure out how to pay my $600. So then I was doing my side hustling and stuff like that. I was a tutor, and then I got my refund check from school, and I was like, all right, let me just pay the $600 off.
Yeah.
But that knocked down my credit by like 200 points. So I was like $550
Ouch.
for this Victoria's Secret card. And I was just like, my goodness.
You know,
but it's okay.
You know, the crazy part of that story is all you had to do is pay the minimum balance due each month, and you would have been fine with your credit. But people don't know these things. There's so much that we don't get taught. You were handed a credit card with $1,000 on it. Same thing happened to me my freshman year. They handed me a credit card with $1,500 on it. And what do we know? We come from, having maybe $50 at most cash from our, from our parents. Then all of a sudden $1,000. Like, come on. So I feel like in a lot of ways, the system is set up in a way to make people do the wrong thing with money because they don't require you to fill out a quick test. Like when you get your driver's license, you cannot get that driver's license until you take that quick test, till you get the permit first, till you get this. Why is it not the same thing with other products like a credit card? You should have to do a quick little assessment. Like, do you understand that you should send the minimum balance every month? Do you understand that if you don't, this is what's going to happen? Because if you don't know, you make all the mistakes because you literally thinking, oh, I'll pay it when I can. And you don't realize it's getting reported to all three credit bureaus and ruining your credit report and your credit score.
Yeah. Like if I would have known that I could just sent $25 for them to like stop calling me, I would have just done that. But whatever, it's fine. You live and you learn. My credit score ended up living. You learn. I will be happy to announce that I am back up to 720 now. I'm good. Feel great about that.
There we go.
Yeah. So, and after that, like, I didn't get my first like actual credit card until I was 21. Like I was very, very cautious with money. And I think because I was scared to mess something up. Right. And I'm learning even now, continually every day, like, don't be scared. Scared money don't make no money. And at the end of the day, if I mess up, if I lose some money, if something happens, it's fine. Like, you live and you learn, and I'm just going to forgive myself for that past mistake and understand to never do it again.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much because you can only learn from it. I mean, what's the point of beating yourself up about it? Okay, so then you get to the point where you finally realize the mistakes you made. You kind of got it together, fixed it a little bit. You start working. You have a high income, and now everything is great. But you decide you wanted to create this platform for other people. You wanted to make it a larger thing because, yeah, you could use all these skills that you have now to help yourself, but you know, you wanted to do something more. You wanted to put a platform together to help other people. So what was your motivation to start BougieBudgets.com as a blog or as a platform to offer financial literacy workshops? What was the real motivation there? Why did you decide to make it a bigger thing and not just keep it to yourself, your friends, and your family?
Mainly like the Budgetnista. So
Yeah. Oh, yes, I love
I
Tiffany.
love the Budgetnista. Like, oh my gosh. And the first time I heard her, I was in college, and she was on one of like my favorite podcasts, and she was just like a light. Like, she was just so bubbly and, you know, hitting the facts with the money and giving just a new perspective of something that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
And I was like, this Black woman is like killing it in the finance game, and I've never seen it.
Yeah.
It's just as rare as seeing like a Black woman CPA, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, like, I can do this, and I can show people, I can have personality with it, I can have fun with it, and I can still be educating people. And that's kind of where like my inspiration for just even having a clever name and stuff like that, like, is all the like
I love
100% inspired by the Budgetnista. And I decided like I didn't want to keep it to myself because I understood, like, I understand that money is so weird, and I understand that, you know, we're in now an age where technology is big, and a lot of times some financial influencers, some educators don't really embrace the technology. They, you know, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And I hated traditional budgeting. Like, I did not like to look at a traditional spreadsheet, like a traditional budget, like I'm at work on looking at the spreadsheets. And I'm like, my life is not a spreadsheet. And and it was like looking at a bad report card. Honestly, like, my some months I spend way more on my hair than I will on other months. Sometimes I am going to spend more on drinks when I go out, or I'm going to be a little bit more social because it's my friend's birthday. And I didn't want to have to plan all those things because I'm not really a planner. I'm more of a doer. Like, I'm just like, okay, let's just kill this, and like, let's do it. Like, if I see the money in my account, all right, cool. So I decided to set up a system for my money instead of a budget for my money. And I was like, you know, I think that people could really benefit from understanding how to create a money system versus a budget, because the budgeting wasn't working for me. It wasn't hitting the way I thought it was going to hit. And I was like, you know, like, after I tracked on my spending, after I looked at, okay, I spent all this money, like, what do I do now? Like, how do I stop myself from spending? How do I really, really change the financial climate? How do I work to being able to say, hey, I don't want to go into the office anymore, and, you know, transition, because I know that one day I will want to transition out of what I'm doing now and transition into something else. And I realized that it's by having money. Like, rich people get to do whatever they want to because they don't have that extra stress of money. And that's where I wanted to get to. And I think that we can all benefit from that. And I didn't like to be shamed for wanting to spend money.
Oh, talk about that. Talk about your family shaming you for being, quote unquote, the bougie one, and that ends up leading to your name, the Boujie Budgeter. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah, I am the bougie one. Like, I've always been the bougie sister. Like, they get mad when I'm at cookouts and I don't want to eat outside. I'm bougie. Yeah, I don't want to eat outside because I don't like bugs. Like,
oh my goodness.
It always, for a long time, it seemed like, you know, they were kind of attacking me, and it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing differently. I just like nice things. Like, I like things to be nice. I like things to be in a specific way. But for some reason, you know, all 6 of y'all in here calling me the bougie one, but we all grew up with the same parents. I'm
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did mention that when your sisters and brothers who are older than you, when they were growing up, your parents weren't as financially stable yet. They hadn't built up
That
as
is
much.
true.
So probably you got you had a little fancier of an experience in terms of what your your parents were able to provide for you, because by the time you came around, they were a little bit more financially solid. So maybe there is a point to them saying that, you a little different. You're a little different. You the bougie duckling.
Listen. and that's fine. And that's fine. But and I wouldn't change it from any way, because like I realize and people and actually, quick story, I was at a networking event, and one of my friends, she told this lady to come over and was like, call her bougie or whatever. And the lady was like, this girl told me to call you bougie. And I'm like, I wasn't sure. Like, should I just didn't want to offend you. And I was like, oh no, like that's my brand. Like I'm completely fine with it. And that's because it's
so funny.
It's a negative connotation. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like I will embrace the bougie lifestyle because it is everything that I enjoy. I like nice things. I like to look prim and proper. I like to look put together. And if that to you is bougie, that's fine. But to me, being bougie is having standards that no one else can steer me away from. Like if I know that when I go on vacation, I like to have my own bed, then on vacation, I'm going to make sure that I have enough money so I can have my own bed. I'm too old to be sharing a bed with somebody on vacation.
Yeah. I like that you reclaimed the word, because it's true. When I was in college, every time people said, oh, she's bougie, oh, she's the bougie one, or, whatever, that definitely was not a compliment. It was more so like, oh, this person goody two shoes, think they, better than somebody type of thing. And I feel like now, maybe it's because of music and social media, online culture, it's not actually as negative as it used to be. To say you're bougie, it just means that you like it's just like, I'm a little bit more prim and proper. Like you said, it's not, I think people still do think of it as a negative word, but it's not as bad, I think, as it used to be when people first started saying the word. And so I like that you reclaimed it. You were like, I don't care what y'all think the word bougie means. This is what it means for me. And this is why, for me, I embrace the word and I allow it to be part of the description of me, because I see it as a positive piece of who I am. It's just what I like. It's what I like to do. It's how I like to be. And I'm not going to change that for other people because you think bougie is a bad thing. I don't care what you think. I'm this way. I like it and it works for me. So I love that. I love you reclaimed it. That's great.
Yeah, girl, and I've been bougie ever since. And everyone loves it. Everyone has fun with it, and that's just my personality too. I like to have fun with things. I don't like things to feel too stiff, and that's how I really was able to claim it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot. And you know what? The fact that the Budgetista inspired you to get started and do your own thing is so beautiful, because it just goes to underline, emphasize that representation matters so freaking much. If you do not see yourself reflected in a certain industry, in a certain sector, in a certain career force, you are not going to, in your mind, see an opportunity for yourself to be there, because it's sort of like you're just seeing that there is no place for you. Even if you don't, I mean, a lot of people are the pioneers. They're the first ones to do it, and they don't care if nobody else is like them, and that's fine. But it takes a certain amount of grit to be the first person to do something that nobody else was like that before. It takes a lot. And so most average people would, if they don't see themselves reflected, they're going to think there's no space for them there. There is not an opportunity for them there. And so that's why it's so important to have representation. That's why I wanted to start my podcast with just women first. Of course, a lot of people keep asking me, oh, is it just women? My guy friends are, I want to be on it. I'm like, don't worry, I'm going to open it up to guys too. But right now I want to over represent what has been underrepresented before, which is to show women in, conversations about money, talking about it with confidence and building brands, which is something that I feel like is very rare to see a woman in personal finance, just knowing what she's talking about and creating resources for other people. So thank you for joining me for this, because yeah, man, your story is so real and I love what you're doing. It's obviously authentic to who you are, and that is so important. It's so important.
Yeah, and I will, last thing I will also say is representation matters when it comes to age as well. And I didn't realize that so much, but when I am in spaces, of course, in the personal finance space, especially, like, I am pretty much the youngest one
Yeah.
in every room. I'm usually and sometimes I get written off if I expose like how young I am. If I say I'm 24, or if
Yeah.
I say I just graduated from college 2 years ago, it's like, oh, she's a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but I was just talking about stocks, bonds,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and personal wealth, and like I've just was holding the same conversation with you.
Yep.
But now that you know that I am
A
15
youngin.
years younger than you,
Yeah.
you know, now the conversation shifts,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, well, you don't know enough, or wait until you live life, or wait until you have a husband and kids. Like I have had events where like I'm the moderator, I'm the presenter, and like people will combat me from their chairs and say like, oh, well, just wait till you have a husband and kids, you can't budget that way. why
Wow.
why can't I budget that way? My mom does it. And
Oh.
she has six of them. So she
Hmm.
has 6 kids and a husband. So and I just understand that sometimes you really do need somebody that is your age, and someone
Yeah.
that you don't feel like is like trying to just sell you,
That's right.
or
Yeah.
not trying to really educate you, or trying to like be hip or be cool. Like, no, girl, I
That's
really live this
you.
life.
That's
Like,
right. Yep.
I'm really this
Yep.
person. And yeah, it really sucks sometimes, but I hold my own. I'm all right with it, because I know that there's nothing that I can do differently
Yeah.
but educate
That's
and
right.
be authentically myself. Because I've had people who also wanted to combat me, try to, and then after my session come up to me and say like, at first I wasn't feeling it, but I like everything you said. I loved it. Everything, like, I'm going to use these tips now. I'm going to,
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing some things that you suggested because of, because of this workshop, because of this session.
That's
And
right.
it's just like, come in with the open mind. Like, just because I don't have a husband and kids doesn't mean
That
that I
you
don't
can't
know what I'm
learn.
talking
That's
about.
right. Or that
Yeah,
you
that you
can't learn
can't
something
learn.
from each other. That's right. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so
And
true.
I don't want kids. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants them.
That's right. And everybody's going to have the same path in their life just because that's what most people do. It's so true. Everybody's always asking me about, oh, when you get married, when you're having kids. I'm like, first of all, why don't you ask me about my business ventures? Why don't you ask me when I am writing a book? Why don't you ask me when my podcast comes out? Why don't you ask me? Because it's important that, women are recognized for other things. It's beautiful to be a wife. It's beautiful to be a mother. It's beautiful to be all those things, but you can be a lot of other things as well. And those things should be celebrated too. So I hear you, girl.
Exactly.
I
It's
love
beautiful
that.
to be the rich auntie as well.
That's right. And I love my nieces and nephews. I'm the best tia in the
Okay.
world. They love me. I'm the best tia. I take them out. They come to my house. They can watch movies. We do whatever they want. And
Okay.
then
We go
they
to
go,
museums. We do all of
right?
that.
And then when we're done, they go back home.
Okay. They go back to their
Oh,
parents.
gosh. Girl, this was so fun. Thank you so much. I have one last question to wrap up the show, which is I'm going to put your face on a dollar bill and I'm going to cover over it. I'm going to take, oh, wait, sorry, USA. I'm just going to wipe that away. And I'm going to put your money mantra or your money message over the dollar bill to inspire anybody who touches money or who transacts with money with your money message. So what would your money message or money mantra be?
So, my money mantra would be enjoy the life you buy.
I like that because there's two pieces to it. One is you buy your life. You really do. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
got to pay for the things, all the things. And then the second piece is you have to live with the decision that you purchased. So you have to find a way to enjoy it. So I really
Yep.
like that. Enjoy the life you buy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Put that on a dollar
It
bill.
will be. It will be, girl. And I'm gonna tag you, and you can share it. I love that. Thank you again. Thank you so much. If people out there listening or watching were inspired by your story and by your authenticity today, where could they hit you up? Where could they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me everywhere at the Boujie Budgeter. Boujie is spelled Boujie because bougie with a G looks like boogie to me. I don't know. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those things. And yeah, Twitter is just Boujie Budgeter because I can't add the credit character limits.
Yeah.
And then, or you can definitely check out my website. I have so many free and some paid resources. I have a budgeting workbook that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into, and it is super dope. And it teaches you how to create your money system. And when I say this thing is like top notch, definitely check out that. And if you love what I had to say, you want to check out the workbook, you can use code HELPFUL from MissBeHelpful, and you can get $20 off your workbook. So I'm super excited. Awesome. And yeah, so Boujie Budgets everywhere, Boujie Budgeter. And I do answer DMs if they are appropriate.
Yeah, right. Keep it clean, people. Keep it clean. Love it. Thank you so much again, Mykail. This was a blast, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If you like this video, which I'm sure you did because the video was the bomb, then you're going to want to watch all the other episodes of the Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful podcast, and they're all right here in this playlist. So click the playlist to watch those episodes. And if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the subscribe button right now so you can get videos every single week and to join Team Be Helpful right here. That's all I have for you guys. Till next time, peace.